9 to 0. Say that out loud for a second. 9 to 0. In a court that can't agree on the color of the sky right now, in a country that's been at war with itself over guns for the better part of 30 years, every single justice, liberal and conservative, looked at each other and said yes. We agree. All of us. That should stop you cold. Because it stopped a lot of very smart legal minds cold when it happened. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what just changed, why it matters more than the headlines are telling you, and what it means for every single person living in all 50 states right now. This isn't noise. This is a shift. And shifts like this don't come around very often. Welcome to Smart Money and Retirement. If you're new here, this is the place where we cut through the legal and financial fog and tell you what's actually happening and why it actually matters to your real life. I'm glad you found this video. Share it with someone who needs to see it, because trust me, they do. Let me take you back to the beginning of this story, because you can't understand where we are without understanding how we got here. For years, there has been a loophole in American gun law so wide you could drive a truck through it. Companies figured out that if they sold a gun in pieces, not fully assembled, not fully functional, they could argue it wasn't technically a firearm under the law. So no serial number, no background check, no record of any kind. The buyer gets the parts, puts it together at home, and suddenly has a weapon that is completely invisible to law enforcement. Completely untraceable. These became known as ghost guns, and they spread fast. By the time the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, started sounding the alarm, these weapons were already showing up everywhere. Crime scenes in Chicago, seizures in Los Angeles, investigations in Philadelphia, hitting dead ends because the gun in evidence had no history, no origin, no trail. Detectives were staring at weapons that should not have legally existed, with no idea who made them, who sold them, or how they got there. So in 2022, the ATF stepped in with a new regulation. They said, if a parts kit is designed to become a functional firearm, if an average person can take that box of parts and assemble a working gun, then that kit is legally a firearm. Register it, serialize it, run a background check, follow the same rules as every other weapon on the market. Sounds reasonable. But the legal fight that followed was anything but simple. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, one of the most influential courts in the country, struck the rule down. They said the ATF had overreached. That the language of the original Gun Control Act of 1968 didn't cover unfinished parts. That you couldn't call something a gun if it wasn't yet a gun. And suddenly, every legal expert in America was watching to see what came next. What came next was the Supreme Court. And here is where everything changed. The case known as Bondi versus Vanderstock landed before the 9 justices, and what they delivered was something almost no one had predicted in the current political climate: a unanimous decision. All 9 justices who regularly clash on abortion, on executive power, on immigration, on presidential immunity, agreed that the ATF had the legal authority to regulate these weapon parts kits under the existing Gun Control Act. That if something is designed to become a firearm and can readily be made into one, it falls within the definition of a firearm. Full stop. Now I need to be very direct here, because the framing of this matters enormously. This is not a gun confiscation ruling. Nobody is coming for your legally purchased, properly registered firearms. This ruling does not overturn the Second Amendment. It does not contradict Bruin, the landmark 2022 decision that dramatically expanded individual carry rights across the country. What it does is close a very specific, very dangerous loophole that was being exploited to put untraceable weapons into circulation outside any legal framework whatsoever. But here's what makes this ruling historic beyond just the ghost gun issue. The unanimity of it sends a message that goes far deeper than this one case. When a court this divided agrees on something, they are essentially drawing a line in the sand and saying this is settled. Courts below us need to listen. State legislators need to listen. Federal agencies need to listen. There is no split decision to appeal to, no dissent to build a future argument around. 9-0 is the legal equivalent of a door slamming shut on further debate about this particular question. The ATF's regulatory authority in this space is real, it is valid, and it just got the most powerful endorsement the judicial system can give. Every one of the 50 states now operates under that reality. Every state attorney general, every local prosecutor, every law enforcement agency now has a Supreme Court ruling with no dissent backing their ability to pursue cases involving these unregistered, untraceable weapons. That changes investigations. That changes prosecutions. That changes how gun dealers and parts kit manufacturers operate. All of it across all 50 states, starting now. There's another layer here that smart money and retirement viewers specifically need to hear. This ruling doesn't exist in isolation. It exists inside the most active period of Second Amendment litigation this country has ever seen. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are cases working through the federal courts involving age restrictions on firearm purchases, carry rights on private property, and the extent to which states can add restrictions beyond the federal floor that Bruin established. The Supreme Court is going to have to weigh in on these questions too, and every single ruling builds on the ones before it. What we are watching in real time is the architecture of American gun law being rebuilt from the ground up. The old framework, where courts mostly deferred to legislatures and asked whether a gun law was reasonably connected to public safety, is gone. The Bruin framework replaced it with a historical test. Do a gun restrictions roots trace back to America's founding era? If not, it's constitutionally suspect. But Van der Stock just showed us that even within that framework, certain regulations, smart ones, targeted ones, ones with real teeth, can survive, can thrive, can get 9 votes. That is a complicated and evolving legal landscape. And complicated, evolving legal landscapes have real consequences for real people. For gun owners thinking about estate planning and how to legally transfer firearms to their families. For business owners in the firearms space trying to stay on the right side of rapidly shifting federal rules. For retirees in states where local gun laws are now being challenged and rewritten. These aren't abstract questions. They're kitchen table questions for millions of Americans. At Smart Money and Retirement, this is exactly the kind of story we exist to track for you. Not the hot take. Not the outrage bait. The real substance, what was decided, why it was decided that way, and what it actually changes in your world. The Supreme Court just put all 50 states on notice. And the decisions still coming down the pipeline mean that notice is only going to get louder. If this video opened your eyes to something, I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, I want all of it. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because we have some videos in the pipeline that connect these rulings directly to retirement planning and personal financial protection in ways almost nobody is talking about yet. This is Smart Money and Retirement. Stay curious, stay prepared, and I will see you in the next one.